All right, welcome back to the quarter season review. Now we're going to talk about the Central Division. And so within the Central Division, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, the Chicago Bulls, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the interesting thing about the Central Division, it was the division to beat because of LeBron's presence when he returned there but before when they were making their different championship runs. But now that he's gone, and because he is, a system, they are at the bottom. And, there's not much to say about that. I mean, you lose a important person like that, of course, you're going to have some growing pains. And, there's a lot of those. I mean, they just shipped off Kyle Korver because they had to basically keep their end of the agreement they had with bringing him there is that, if LeBron's not there, move me on to a different team. And so they finally, answered their request, and I think they got back Alec Burks and a couple of picks from the Jazz, which is not a bad move. I mean, Burks is pretty solid. He's consistent. He's going to give numbers and categories of, rebounds, assists. He may even increase some defensive in whatever rotations, but it's not anything to move the scale to say, oh, okay, they have something interesting now. So going to the top of the Central, Milwaukee, which is one of the teams to watch, just like Toronto is top of their division with Atlantic. Milwaukee's top here, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of my new favorites as far as in the league and just what he brings to the table. I mean, and I think it was 2 years ago, he led his team in all 5 statistical categories, and there was a top 20 ranking, which, that's amazing. And so he's continuing that with his offseason work with Kobe Bryant and the other things to kind of add an element to his game. So you're starting to see he's getting more, what do you say, Americanized in that kind of grit and that kind of grind mentality. Like you're starting to see him take a little more aggressive plays and not shy away from the contact. I mean, he's always kind of blown past or moved around people, but now you see him kind of embracing that because he's added on more muscle and he's added more size. So he's kind of embracing that contact, and that's what makes him special is his length and the dynamic of Milwaukee with them having, what is it, like an average height of like 6'6" or 6'7". That's a long team. And I mean, with wingspans as crazy as theirs, you have, Giannis, you have Thon Maker, you have Malcolm Brogdon. So, these players are lengthy. These are altering shot players because you have to shoot over them. And so, if there are teams that, think that they're just going to, line up on the 3-point line and rain threes, that's not necessarily what's going to happen because they have enough pressure to make you reconsider what you're thinking. Now, the games have been, tight at some points, but they've handily defeated a couple of teams by, a 15-point difference or so. Now, when you can talk about the Central, you kind of have like a mix of the in-between. It's usually one team on the top, one team on the bottom, and you know why they're there. And that middle is always just a fighting for that middle position. So Detroit, Indiana, and Chicago are those teams. And, Chicago has something interesting because of that Levine trade is starting to show that maybe they gave up on Levine a little too early, but that environment may have not suited them because of what happened with Butler. Maybe he wasn't feeling that vibe as well. So, looking with the Pacers and Oladipo, I think he just recently had an injury. He's indefinitely out. Is something with his knee or ankle, I believe. And that's going to be a big part because they already were a big bulk of the offense was dependent on his ability to, kind of drive in, draw in defenders, and that kind of pool is now being taken away. So they're really kind of relying on their auxiliary stars, and they're still bringing a defensive element, but their offense is really taking somewhat of a slide. I mean, they're really trying to find new ways and create new ways for the shot. And then when it comes to Detroit, Blake Griffin and the mix of players that they have there, I'm liking the head coach. Especially that was a decent victory over the Golden State Warriors. I mean, yes, they are having drama, but a win is a win, and that's over the defending champs. So you have to give them credit there. And with Blake and seeing his sort of early season faux pas with him and his game, he's really kind of gotten into game shape and really showing a little extra element. So that middle part of the Central Division is always somebody's going to clearly come out on top, and it's like I really don't see Indiana or Chicago or Cleveland making some big change around unless they get some personnel difference. It's kind of like Milwaukee and Detroit are the ones really vying for this division. So we're going to end this one off, and we're going to finish up with the Southeast Division for the Eastern Conference, and then head out west.